Batman. Bruce Wayne is a wealthy industrialist and philanthropist who, native to Gotham City, served as the president and CEO of Wayne Enterprises. Under the alias Batman, he secretly fought crime and injustice as a masked vigilante for many years and was a founding member of the Justice League, though he only ever operated as a part-timer. Following the deterioration of his health which forced him to retire from crime fighting, however, he passed down his mantle to a teenager named Terry McGinnis, whom he mentored from then on. History. Early life. Bruce Wayne was born to a wealthy family, the son of Thomas Wayne and Martha Wayne. Young Bruce would often watch the television adventures of the Grey Ghost with his father and took many ideas from this show later. On the way home from seeing the film The Mark of Zorro, 8-year-old Wayne watched as his mother and father were gunned down by a mugger. Some say that Wayne died that night with his parents and Batman was born in his place. In any case, he later stated that the incident marked the end of his childhood. Later, Wayne was taken home to Wayne Manor, where he was raised by the Wayne's faithful butler Alfred Pennyworth. Intent on eliminating the crime that took his parents, Wayne immersed himself in studying a wide variety of arts and sciences. He learned from masters in their fields, such as escape artistry from Zatara, martial arts from Yoru-sensei in Japan and a master in Nanda Parbat, and science from Nobel laureates. At some point Bruce attended medical school but ultimately dropped out. During his 3-month training stint with Zatara, Wayne and his mentor's daughter Zatanna became very close. During his training in Japan, Wayne became enemies with fellow student Kyodai Ken when the latter was kicked out for trying to steal Yoru's sword. The two would meet again years later, in which Kyodai would acknowledge him as a worthy adversary. Early career. After traveling abroad for several years to complete his training, Wayne returned to Gotham. After stopping a robbery dressed in common clothes was met with lukewarm results, as the criminals did not fear him. He very nearly gave up his plan to become a force for justice when he almost found happiness with fellow college student Andrea Beaumont. However, when Andrea abruptly called off their engagement under mysterious circumstances, a heartbroken Wayne dove headfirst onto the path of becoming Batman with renewed vigor. One day while Wayne was exploring the recently discovered bat-infested caverns below Wayne Manor, Alfred informed him that Andrea would be leaving both he and Gotham behind. Recalling the omen of bats bursting from the belly of the caverns when he decided to give up his life as a crime fighter to be with her, Wayne set up an appropriate identity to strike fear into the hearts of superstitious and cowardly criminals. He donned a suit made to look like a giant bat and built his secret headquarters, the Batcave, in the caverns below the manor. After being accused of murdering several members of Salvatore Vallestra's gang 10 years later, Batman was able to determine that the real assassin was actually his former love Andrea. When he confronted her, who was in a heated battle with the Joker, she said that vengeance was all she had left before she disappeared with a detained Joker as an abandoned theme park exploded in their wake. At some point of his life, Wayne found and took care of Dick Grayson as his ward after his parents were killed. Batman eventually made Grayson into his crime-fighting sidekick Robin, and the latter worked well with him up until his university years, following which he operated on a limited basis due to dividing his time between college and crime fighting. He spent years keeping the people of Gotham City safe from common criminals and bizarre villains. Further adventures. Batman had several partners and occasional imitators, such as Batwoman, but his most common partner was Barbara Gordon, who had officially taken the job at his side as Batgirl. While on another mission, Batman rescued the young Tim Drake from Two-Face when he attempted to kill the boy. Drake found himself inspired by Wayne's desire to stand up to people like Two-Face. In combination with his own rebellious nature, Drake later stole the Robin costume from the Batcave, ultimately taking up the mantle as the second Robin. Receiving Drake as his new sidekick, Batman gave the young boy 3 rules. Drake had to give Wayne everything he's got, then he had to give him even more, and Wayne made the rules. For a short amount of time, Grayson returned to Gotham as Nightwing to assist his former mentor. While he was a welcome addition, the two of them never truly seemed to forget the argument that caused Grayson to leave. Despite this, the partnership remained stable. Nightwing would spend a decent amount of time in Gotham, but he would later leave to establish himself in Bloodhaven. Batman would later find himself in Metropolis, having followed the Joker to the city. While his longtime nemesis struck a deal with Lex Luthor, he would find himself working with Superman to thwart the plot. After foiling the Joker's plans to kill the Man of Steel and destroy Metropolis, he would return to the city a couple of times to stop villains from his own rogues gallery. Batman would also form an unlikely partnership with the young Static when another case brought the heroes into one another's home city. While these two partnerships did not usually start off well, he eventually learned to respect their abilities and trust both of them with his secret identity. Batman had also worked with other superheroes, such as the aforementioned Zatanna, the Demon Etrigan, and the Creeper. Saving the world. Over the course of a few months, Batman detected several security breaches in Wayne Tech's deep space monitoring network. While investigating the Wayne Tech Metropolis substation, he encountered 3 scientists speaking a strange language. These scientists tampered with the station's antenna and, when confronted, displayed superhuman strength and resilience. Though Superman arrived to assist, he was incapacitated by John's telepathic contact, while Batman was unable to prevent the scientists from destroying the antenna. After the antenna's destruction, Superman gave Batman a signal watch to call him for help if he needed it. Batman tracked the scientists to an abandoned STAR Labs facility where he found the scientists being held in stasis pods. He was attacked by a shape-shifting sentry and rendered unconscious, but not before signaling Superman with the watch. Superman found the unconscious Batman at the STAR Labs facility, just as a meteor crashed to Earth in Metropolis Park. Superman left Batman with an ambulance crew and flew off to investigate the meteor. Just as the medic was about to look under Batman's mask, he reached up and grabbed her hand, saying, "Don't even think about it." When the Imperium's attack walker emerged from the meteor, incapacitated Superman and began raining destruction down on Metropolis, Batman took off in the Batwing, which he seemed to have summoned while lying on the gurney. Batman began firing missiles on the walker, and then 2 more walkers emerged from the meteor. When military air and armor units arrived on the scene, Batman followed Superman, who had mysteriously left the battle without explanation. Batman tracked Superman to a military base in the mountains outside Metropolis, where they found more humans in stasis pods and the imprisoned John. After freeing Johns and learning of the Imperium, the trio were stopped by Imperium forces posing as military personnel. Outnumbered, Batman fled with the incapacitated Johns in the Batwing while Superman covered their escape. The Batwing was pursued by Imperium craft and shot down, but rescued by John Stewart and Hawkgirl before the crippled Batwing crashed. Batman witnessed the other heroes battling the Imperium craft and the appearance of Wonder Woman. The Flash arrived at the end of the battle, having retrieved the Batwing's severed wing. After Johns informed the assembled heroes of the Imperium's invasion of Mars, their eventual defeat and their inadvertent release by Earth astronauts, the Imperium's factories began manufacturing smoke to block out the sun's rays. The heroes split up to disable the factories. Batman went to Giza, Egypt with Wonder Woman and Johns. The trio infiltrated the factory and found the ion matrix crystal, a vital component of the plant. Batman and Wonder Woman provided a diversion to allow Johns to remove the crystal. As he removed the crystal, Johns was incapacitated by Imperium forces. Batman then covered Wonder Woman and Johns' escape from the plant, but was himself trapped inside and cornered by Imperium forces. Johns reported that Batman was dead, but in truth, he had mentally shielded Batman to prevent the Imperium forces from detecting him. Batman remained hidden until the Imperium arrived on Earth. He then revealed himself and reversed the ion charge in the ion matrix crystal, causing the plant to burn off the smoke it had been producing. With the sun shining again, the heroes defeated the Imperium and freed their human prisoners, then mopped up the remaining Imperium forces around the globe. Inspired by a general's speech about vigilance and the possible return of the invaders, Batman had the Watchtower constructed by Wayne Enterprises, hiding the funding as a line item in the aerospace R&D budget. Batman invited the other 6 heroes who had repelled the invaders to the station. With this, the 7 heroes formed the Justice League. Claiming he wasn't a people person, Batman did not officially join the group, though he did offer to be on call when they needed his help. Batman was quick to place himself in danger, despite the awe-inspiring powers of his teammates. During the Atlantis usurpation, Batman put a stop to the melting of the polar ice caps. On another occasion, Batman single-handedly defeated 5 dangerous criminals before being surprised by an Amazon-trained criminal while managing to take her necklace as a clue to her identity. During his time with the Justice League, Batman showed his distrust of Superman. After Superman was brainwashed by Darkseid, Batman began carrying a piece of kryptonite, which he acquired from Lex Luthor. However, Batman still held a deep respect for the Man of Steel, especially after he had seemingly died at the hands of Toyman. But, regardless of his respect, Batman remained stubborn in his disbelief in Superman's death and refused to mourn for him for quite a while. During the Thanagarian invasion of Earth, Batman was forced to reveal his identity to his teammates and provide the Batcave as a temporary meeting place and battleground when the Thanagarians tried to take them down. After successfully retaking the Watchtower from Thanagarian forces, Batman resolved to end the threat by sacrificing himself by piloting the Watchtower through the Earth's atmosphere in an attempt to plunge it into a hyperspace bypass, a city-wide machine that would generate a wormhole through Earth. Before launching the escape pod containing his comrades, he expressed his gratitude for having known and served with them. As Batman lost consciousness due to the heat surrounding him, Superman rescued him as the Watchtower destroyed the bypass. With the Watchtower's destruction and Hawkgirl's resignation from the League, Batman offered Wayne Manor as a temporary headquarters for the organization. Batman and the 5 other members were formed the Justice League with a new watchtower and an expanded roster of heroes. Batman was instrumental in recruiting Green Arrow who, along with other normal human Justice League members, helped keep the League from becoming an autonomous metahuman army. Despite being far from the most social among the League members, Batman would go beyond certain expectations to save his allies. One instance where Wonder Woman was transformed into a pig by the sorceress Circe, Batman sang "Am I Blue?" in front of a live audience so that she would change her back. He also succeeded in demonstrating to Amanda Waller that Cadmus was being used as a tool to further Lex Luthor's personal agenda to discredit and destroy the Justice League. And during a mission given to him and some of the League members by Waller to stop Ace and her new Royal Flush Gang managed to end the threat by not killing Ace, but by being with her and offering compassion in her last moments. Waller was so impressed with Batman and his unique skill set that she created Project Batman Beyond to ensure that the world would always have a Batman. Later adventures and retirement. Batman's partnerships came to a rather bitter end in his later career. After Dick Grayson left for Bloodhaven to fight crime on his own, things took a turn for the worse following Tim Drake's kidnapping by the Joker and Harley Quinn. Tracking them to the abandoned Arkham Asylum after 3 agonizing weeks and much to the horror of Batman and Batgirl, the Joker introduced him as Joker Jr., or JJ for short. The Joker revealed that he had tortured, brainwashed and altered Tim to resemble himself in an effort to create his own son, even documenting the torture and labeling the video "Our Family Memories" all so he could crush Batman's spirit. In the process, the Joker also learned Batman's secret identity and cruelly mocked his crusade. Vowing to break the Joker, the enraged Dark Knight had his final battle with the Clown Prince of Crime. While succeeding in enraging Batman, Joker delivered a knife to Batman's knee, crippling his nemesis, before handing Tim a gun to shoot Batman with. In the end, it was Tim who took the Joker's life. Unable to heed his father's command to shoot Batman, Tim turned the gun on the Joker instead. After Tim underwent extensive therapy with Dr. Leslie Tompkins, Batman forbade Tim, who was severely traumatized from the incident, from ever being Robin again, and later ended his partnership with Batgirl. He also cut ties with the Justice League. Some years following this tragic event, Batman was involved in a series of events orchestrated by Ra's al Ghul called the Near Apocalypse of '09, where this time Talia sided with him to put a stop to her father's plans. Ra's was defeated by Batman, badly injured to death, and apparently perished in the end. Unbeknownst to Batman, Ra's had in fact taken over his daughter's body by transferring his consciousness onto hers with her consent, effectively rendering Talia non-existent. At some point during this period, Alfred passed away, leaving Bruce alone at Wayne Manor. Some years after this, the Joker's death, and Tim Drake's retirement as Robin, a middle-aged Batman began to finally suffer from the effects of a hard life of crime fighting. To counteract these, Batman developed a powered suit that augmented his physical abilities and allowed him to continue the mission for longer periods of time. At this time, his corporate rivalry with Derek Powers began, and Wayne Enterprises continuously resisted bids for corporate takeover. The long decades of physical punishment, emotional challenges, and an ailing heart finally took their toll, however, and even the suit couldn't compensate any longer. He developed an exosuit of armor in an attempt to adapt once again, but as it ended up straining his heart, this branch of research came to a dead end. While attempting to rescue his old friend's daughter from kidnappers, Batman suffered from a mild heart attack and was forced to point a gun at a common thug to save himself from being beaten to death. After being forced to rely on the very weapon of his parents' cowardly murderer, Batman was ashamed and mournfully but reluctantly vowed to never again wear the cowl. Elderly years and passing the mantle of Batman. When he hung up the mantle of Batman, Gotham City was left without a Dark Knight. Waller, who was always aware of the possibility of Bruce's retirement as he got older and slower, put Project Batman Beyond into action, which resulted in the birth of Terry McGinnis 4 years later. However, several years later she was convinced by Andrea Beaumont that her ultimate method for forcing the genesis of her successor Batman through murder would have dishonored everything Bruce stood for, and thus cancelled the project. During the intervening 20 years, Bruce withdrew from day-to-day operations at Wayne Enterprises, a decision that cost him his company and allowed Derek Powers to take over and create the merger company Wayne Powers. Additionally, Powers used the company as a cover to carry out his immoral and illegal practices, much to Bruce's disgust, though Bruce could not do anything about it due to his weak health. Bruce later became a recluse, isolated in Wayne Manor after Alfred's death, and all his acquaintances abandoned him and moved on with their lives, and took up the use of a cane due to developing a limp as a result of pain from an old battle wound, possibly Joker's stabbing of his leg. During one of his yearly pilgrimages to the spot where his parents were murdered, he met a stray dog that saved him and helped take down a Joker's gang member that tried to mug him, getting injured in the process. Wayne took the dog in and named him Ace, presumably after the young girl from the Royal Flush Gang whose death he witnessed after offering her compassion. The dog then became his sole companion and guard dog in the Lonely Manor. In 2039, chance brought the 16-year-old Terry McGinnis to the gates of Wayne Manor, where he learned of Wayne's past secret life. After McGinnis suffered a personal loss, Wayne reluctantly agreed to allow him to take up the mantle of Batman. He then served as a mentor and informant for the successor to his legacy. For years, Wayne coordinated with McGinnis, supplying advice and direction from the Batcave while McGinnis worked in the field. He also ran the labs and developed new gadgets for McGinnis to use in the new crusade against crime. During their adventures, Wayne would help McGinnis defeat modern adversaries and even some of his own revived rogues, such as Mr. Freeze, Ra's al Ghul, and the Joker reborn through a chip implanted in Tim Drake decades ago. The elderly Wayne occasionally ventured into the field to support McGinnis. His sense of duty and self-sacrifice ever present, he once donned the experimental exosuit to rescue McGinnis from Inc., despite Inc.'s metahuman power and the strain on his already damaged heart. At some time after the arrest of Paxton Powers, Wayne took back control of Wayne Enterprises. After regaining control of the company, he took the position of CEO and chairman of the board. Subsequently, he and McGinnis had to cope with the return of his greatest enemy, the Joker, and an attempt by Jordan Price to seize control of the company and kill Wayne. During this crisis, the revived Joker even broke into the Batcave and attacked Wayne as he was preparing an antidote for Joker venom. Only its swift administration by McGinnis saved Wayne from dying with a smile on his face. After the Joker's final death and Price's exposure, however, Wayne presumably resumed day-to-day business operations at Wayne Enterprises. Eventually, Wayne learned the truth about Terry's lineage as a result of Waller's Project Batman Beyond, but kept quiet out of respect for his legal father Warren McGinnis, wanting McGinnis to find his own way in life and become his own man. As Wayne continued to age, 15 years after meeting Terry, he suffered kidney failure. Unknown to Wayne, McGinnis discovered that he was not only a suitable tissue donor, but a perfect one. Eventually learning the truth about his heritage and some advice on how to go forward with it from Waller, McGinnis returned to Wayne Manor with a new sense of purpose. Wayne wondered about the fate of Gotham, and McGinnis relaxed the worries. The latter then embarked on a mission to assist Superman after being informed of it by Wayne. Their relationship seemed repaired, as Wayne had truly become the father McGinnis had lost long ago. Batman's secret identity. While Batman kept his identity a closely guarded secret, there were a number of individuals to whom he had either revealed his identity or who had discovered it. Among the most prominent ones are Alfred Pennyworth, Leslie Tompkins, Dick Grayson, Barbara Gordon, Tim Drake, Terry McGinnis, Talia, Hugo Strange, Ra's al Ghul, Andrea Beaumont, Lois Lane, Amanda Waller, Static, Zatanna, Etrigan, Superman, the core Justice Leaguers, and his arch-nemesis, the Joker. Powers and abilities. Though considered a superhero, Batman had no metahuman abilities. However, he was at the peak of human physical and mental conditioning, as well as he has extensively studied the sciences, technology, martial arts, detection and many other disciplines under masters of their respective fields. Batman was a master of stealth and infiltration, all the more remarkable given that he stands 6 feet 2 inches and weighs 210 pounds. He often revealed himself to his enemies when they least suspected him to. This allowed him to just disappear from allies in mid-sentence, a habit that frequently annoyed Commissioner Gordon. "One of these days I'm gonna nail his feet to the ground," and Harvey Bullock, "I wonder how the commish puts up with that." Batman was capable of incredible feats of agility and reflexes. During the second Apocalyptian invasion, Darkseid commented that no one had ever been able to avoid his Omega beams before. Batman's strength was also exceptional, being capable of throwing Superman and Caliban several meters away. Temporarily youthened for about a week in his older years, his physical mass was all the more apparent when compared to the slim teenager Terry McGinnis. According to the Clock King, it takes Batman exactly 1/20th of a second, 50 milliseconds, to throw a punch, and he also stated it only takes him 1/30th of a second, 33.33 milliseconds, to launch a kick. With his martial arts prowess, occasionally augmented by technology, Batman was usually more than a match for any foe he encountered, human or otherwise. He was familiar with a vast array of martial arts, including but not limited to jiu-jitsu and kung fu. When he first met Superman, the vigilante suddenly threw the powerful alien across a room to Superman's complete astonishment at the attack's sheer audacity. He could also give Darkseid a fairly good fight before being subdued. As Bruce aged and retired from active crime fighting, he still maintained his wide variety of skills including martial arts, but couldn't engage in prolonged periods of physical excursion without complications without his weak heart and aging body. However, he could use his cane as a weapon. He could also wield batarangs with force and accuracy, as demonstrated when he launched them into the barrel of guns. Batman's mental discipline and determination were as equally strong a weapon as his physical prowess. On at least 2 occasions, he overcame the temptation to abandon the real world and live in a fantasy world with his ideal life, in order to save the day. On another occasion, he outwilled the mind control of Dr. Destiny, who had simultaneously overpowered the minds of nearly the entire Justice League, despite having not slept for 3 nights in a row. Similarly, Batman is a master of intimidation and psychological manipulation, specifically with the criminally minded. Usually he relies on his burly appearance, coupled with the dark appearance of his costume, the main reason why he chose the bat as his symbol and mask, and a certain degree of ruthlessness to intimidate criminals into spilling their guts to him, something his peers in the superhero community, like Superman and Flash, usually find themselves unable to do so, despite their greater physical might. But this ability could also be used more subtly. With a few choice words, he once manipulated the nearly mindless Solomon Grundy into fighting his then teammate, the super genius Ultrahumanite, tricked Cheetah into taking sympathy with him, and later swayed the Ultrahumanite to his side by offering to sponsor an opera performance program which the Humanite cherished. Despite retiring as Batman in his old age, Bruce honed his interrogation skills even further to the point he considered holding criminals over an edge to be a simple and naive method, claiming he can't believe he was ever that green when he saw his younger self do it. Perhaps Batman's greatest ability was his intelligence. He was one of the foremost detectives on Earth. Ra's al Ghul always addressed him as detective, possessing one of the sharpest analytical minds of all time. Batman is highly skilled in multiple fields of science and speaks several foreign languages, including English, Morse code, Kasnian, Japanese, and Spanish. As a member of the Justice League, he contributed much of the technology that kept it going, including the Watchtower and javelins. In addition to his fighting abilities, his contributions to the team as a scientist, a detective and a strategist have proved invaluable time and again. Batman is also an adept singer, a talent he kept hidden from everybody else and only revealed in order to save Wonder Woman. He is cultured, being familiar with Greek mythology, and well-read, having quoted Shakespeare's Julius Caesar, William Blake's The Tiger, and philosophers like Santayana. Equipment. As the head of Wayne Enterprises, Bruce Wayne had access to cutting-edge technology, which Batman made good use of it in his field equipment. Batsuit. The Batsuits were the costumes Batman developed and used for himself in his crime-fighting career. All Batsuits incorporated a utility belt with compartments to hold several items, the contents of which changed according to his needs and often included items such as flashlights, laser cutters, underwater rebreathers, binoculars, a fingerprinting kit, remote controls for his vehicles, and more. Utility belt. Batman's utility belt had compartments to hold several items, the contents of which change according to his needs, and often include items such as flashlights, laser cutters, underwater rebreathers, binoculars, a fingerprinting kit, remote controls for his vehicles, batarangs, hand grenades, and the remote control for access to the Watchtower. While Batman himself never seemed to have any difficulty nor complicated procedure for opening the belt's compartments, it evidently involved some fairly sophisticated security measures, which for some reason didn't prevent it from being removed. When Batman was taken captive by the Injustice Gang, Lex Luthor spent a great deal of time and effort to open the belt. Initial brute force attempts resulted not only in failure to get it opened, but in explosions and electric shocks damaging the would-be attacker. Only after using a large and powerful machine of some sort was Lex able to open the belt and empty out its contents. Vehicles. Batman had used several vehicles in the course of his crime-fighting career, including Batboat, Batcycle, Batglider, Batmobile, Batwing, Jetwing, Whirly Bat. If you want to support me, check out my Patreon at https://www.patreon.com/Kayashin. I tend to polls that decide important plot stuff in my P at Trian. Many thanks to my awesome patrons. Ben Phillips.
If you like this content, don't forget to like and subscribe. See you later, bye bye.